Hey Kayla, so today's lesson, even though we're talking about multiplication and division, it still should be a pretty easy lesson because you have done fact families with addition and subtraction before, and that's kind of what we're looking at today. We are talking about relating multiplication and division today. So it says here you can use models to represent multiplication and division. Models are just pictures. Multiplication and division are opposite or inverse operations. Sorry, I don't know why my mouse is being weird. All right. You need to know that they are inverse operations. That's very important. So keep that in mind. We've talked about addition and subtraction being inverse because we check subtraction with addition. Multiplication and division are the same way. We can check our division with multiplication. So let's scroll down here and let's look at example 1. So Felix and Mei Ling went to an arcade. They played 4 games that cost $3 each. What was the total cost? So we are thinking about them playing 4 games that cost $3 each. So for one game, it's going to cost them $3. For another game, it's going to cost them $3, another $3, and another game, another $3. So we're dealing with equal groups of $3. That word each is so very important because usually when we read that word, that signifies that I'm dealing with equal groups, which means I'm going to need to multiply or divide. Now, if we think about what's happening in this problem, if they're playing 4 games and they each cost $3 and it's asking us for the total, then we know my answer has to be bigger. So if I know it's getting bigger, I know I cannot divide because that would make it smaller. I know I cannot subtract. So if we're thinking about addition and multiplication, we would want to pick multiplication because multiplication is going to involve getting bigger, our answer getting larger in equal groups, which is what we're talking about here. So they wanted to show you how to solve this with a model. So we're going to arrange counters in an array. An array is just made up of columns and rows. It's usually a picture, usually squares or circles, where we have columns and rows. And I know you've seen this a good bit, especially last year and probably in 2nd grade as well. So we're going to arrange these counters with 3 rows and 4 columns. So there's one column going up and down. Here's another column going up and down, another column, and another column. So I see that I have 3 rows. So here's my groups of $3. So one game costs $3, another game costs $3, another game costs $3, and another game costs $3. So we have our equal groups. Now remember, columns go up and down like they hold a house up. Columns go up and down, and rows go side to side. So columns are vertical, and rows are horizontal. So we could take and count the counters individually, but the easiest thing to do is let's count across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 across the top. Let's count along the column on the side. 1, 2, 3. We do have to count this one. And then I would take and multiply these 2 numbers. And so how many total counters I have is 4 times 3, which is 12. So let's take a look at what this means for our related multiplication sentence. So we have 3 rows, I have 4 columns, and the total, 3 times 4, is 12. Now you do need to know that 3 and 4 are my factors. And remember, factors are 2 numbers that are multiplied together. My product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Just like a sum is the answer to an addition problem, difference is the answer to a subtraction problem, and product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Now, we can also turn this into a related division sentence, because I know if 3 times 4 equals to 12, then 12 divided by 3 is going to equal to 4. We can look at this division sentence backwards to check. 4 times 3 equals 12, which is correct. Now, it's very important that you learn the components of a division problem. So the number that is being divided, in 4th grade, it's our big number that we're being divided is our dividend. That is being divided, sorry. So the big number that is being divided is the dividend. The number that's doing the dividing is the divisor. And finally, our answer to a division problem is the quotient. Now, how I remember the difference between these two, because they're a little confusing to me. This, we know a quotient's the answer to a division problem, so I'm not really worried about that one. But these two can get kind of confusing. Excuse me. How I remember these two is in 4th grade, our dividend is the largest number. So my largest number is my dividend, and dividend is the larger word between dividend and divisor. So larger number is dividend. My dividend is actually the number that's being divided. Now the divisor, emphasis on the OR ending, makes me think of doctor. Like a doctor does surgery, they cut. So this is actually cutting up my dividend. I'm actually chopping up that dividend. So this is my number that's doing the dividing. It's kind of like my action verb right here. And then, as always, quotient is the answer. And so our total cost was 3 times 4, which is 12. And I'll stop it right here for a break, and we'll look at the back together.